Hello, everybody. I wonder if I'm alive already. It's always very hard to see if I'm live or not. If it started or if I did something wrong, because we're always a minute behind or something. Yeah, music off. Okie dokie. Let me see what is happening on my TV. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live stream. I'm glad I picked it up again last week because I'm always a little nervous to do a live stream, but I'm always happy when I've done it again. Yeah, today's topic is Adrian Newey, because the news broke that he's finally leaving. Hello, Red Boy. Hello, Jason. Hello, Samantha, darling. Yeah, after months of rumors, it's looking pretty official that Adrian Newey is leaving Red Bull for Aston Martin, which is pretty exciting. But we'll go over all the different topics relating to this. So I think I'm just gonna start with getting that news story up here. I'll do a screen share. Let me wait a minute. Screen share. Okay. Making this one. What the hell am I doing? Yes. Okay. So the BBC came out with this news. Newey commits to a 30 million a year Aston Martin deal. Adrian Newey is set to join Aston Martin in 2025. Leading Formula One designer Adrian Newey will join Aston Martin next year. An Aston Martin source told BBC Sport that Adrian Newey has made a long-term commitment to the team, said to be a 5-year contract worth up to a possible £30 million a year, including bonuses and add-ons. The deal will be announced at a news conference organised by Red Bull at their F1 base at Silverstone on Tuesday. Newey, who in April negotiated an early exit from his contract at Red Bull as Red Bull Chief Technical Officer, will start work in early March. Okay, well, and then there's a bit about Eddie Jordan. And there's more about Stroll building more stuff. Fernando Alonso is there until the end of 2026. And a bit about his reputation for building great cars, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn off that screen share because it's always a little bit freaky, isn't it? So let me go to the chat first. Jason says, Aston Martin super team. New Red Bull, let's go. Well, I can honestly say that I'm excited about Aston Martin. And it's giving me the same vibe as the early Red Bull days. You know, a team with lots of resources, but not just there yet. Highly ambitious. Although I don't think it's going to be a party team like Red Bull used to be in 2006. But Samantha says, "Woohoo! My man Alonso might have a chance again." That's true. And Red Boy says he did leave Red Bull with a gift, the supercar. Yeah, that was a special car. And then there's a new person called Sosa. Hello, Wimo. Well, it's actually Wimbo, but you can call me Wimo. I listen to all kinds of names. Let me guess. You're from Brazil or Portugal? Red Boy says Nando might actually have a competitive car again. Yeah, let's hope so. And that's what Samantha says as well. Fingers crossed. Maybe that's why Nando agreed to sign again. Well, he must have seen some prospect, and I think he's keeping pretty cool with the shitty car at the minute. So Samantha says, maybe, Red Boy, I'm not complaining. Red Boy says, oh my god, you use light mode? Yes. I'm a very light-hearted person. And Jason says, yeah, the real question is how much influence has he from May onwards next year, and whether that can give Alonso a real chance in 2026. Yes, I'm more interested in who will be beside Nando. Will it be Max? That'd be awesome. And Samantha says, don't rain on my parade, Jason. Okay. Let me get the schedule again. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. I was reading all kinds of different articles. And it's well known what his qualities are as a great engineer and a person that knows exactly what a car needs. From what I've gathered in all the articles that I've read and the book that I've read, is that he knows exactly how all the different components of a car are linked to each other, and he knows how to predict what the influence will be if you change one part, how that will influence the next part and the next part and the next part. And in one of the articles there was a bit where Adrian Newey would look at a problem and say, guys, we need to change this. And then the other engineer would go, yeah, but that has nothing to do with it. And then he would go, no, but if we do this, then we create space to put this part here, and then that will create the space to expand this part here, and then the car will be faster, or that problem will be solved, which is amazing. And yeah, you only have to look at his at all the prizes he's won and how revered he is to see how good he is. And that's why I never understood the sort of unbothered way Christian Horner reacted to him leaving. It's like, yeah, well, he's not that important anymore, and you know, he's been walking in and out the office, and because I think he's still that guy, and if he proves himself again with Aston Martin, then it's without a doubt that he's the greatest ever, the GOAT of engineering. So let me see if the chat has been. Jason says, trust me, I want Alonso's third title as much as everyone else. And Samantha likes that. Be nice for him after hearing so many saying the older ones need to leave and let the young ones in. And Red Boy says the Horner antagonist arc. Yes, I'm on that arc again. Oh, and there's Vegas. Hello, Vegas. Younglings are the whip to urge the elders' performance. And there's Richard. Oh no, there's Versa. I keep calling him Richard. Hello, Versa. Welcome back, my friend. I'm not gonna lie, I saw the thumbnail and thought you were doing an interview with Adrian Newey. Well, let's hope 100,000 people are thinking this, and I'll get all the ad revenue, even though they click away after a minute. I have the same hair, pretty much, as Adrian Newey, and I'm pretty good with Lego, so, you know. Okay, so let me go back into the history of Adrian Newey. His first job was at Leighton House, working at March, and he sort of created a name for himself with making these really slender cars with everything packed nice and tight in the right space. And this is pretty much a trademark for Adrian Newey because apparently he always knows how to fit everything just perfectly in a car to make it run fast and to create space for other important stuff. But he ended up getting fired there. Yeah, there was some arguments going on, and the budget was really low, so probably the things that he wanted were too expensive. And he was fired, but he said he didn't care about that because he didn't like the team being run by an accountant anyway. So this to me shows that Adrian Newey, even though he's really British and polite and nice, he's got a head on him, and when something doesn't please him, if something is bothering him, then he wants it to change, and if it doesn't change, he just fucks off. And he's he's cooler than you may think. That's probably why he bedded all these beautiful women, you know, because he had two wives called Amanda, and then there was a woman called no, I forgot her name, but it was a beautiful name, so probably a beautiful lady as well. Um, so yeah, that was the end of his March days. But he made a name for himself because he wasn't unemployed for very long, because all the teams started pulling on him like they've been pulling on him since he quit Red Bull. So let me go back to the chat, see what's been said. Red Boy says, "Lol, Lego is goated." Samantha says, "I still want the Lego Home Alone house with lights." See, what I have with Formula One, my wife Samantha has with Christmas. She loves Christmas. But I actually wouldn't mind the Home Alone house either, because I love movies. Uh, Vegas says, "But can you rip a hot lap in an E-Type like Newey?" I probably can't. It took me 2 years of driving lessons before I got my driver's license. So me with my ADHD, I found it very hard to think outside of the car, and that took a lot of training. And I changed my instructor to a really rough old man, and he just he just yelled at me every single lesson. And then by the time I went to take my exam, the examinator was so nice that I just drove for 40 minutes and I parked the car beautifully, and I had my driver's license. Okay, but this is not about Newey. Red Boy says Newey was there when Williams had a Canon event. He was there when Vettel became the bad guy, and he was there in 2021. Okay, this concludes our live stream because Red Boy just spoiled everything. Everything I wanted to say in this live stream, Red Boy has just said. No, we'll go over it again. And Versa says, "Me and Adrian Newey go way back. He used to copy my homework in school. I did a project on a twin diffuser that he plagiarized and turned into a double diffuser." No, you're not Clarkson. You're not Jeremy Clarkson. And Versa says, "Do you have the McLaren Lego sets?" No. Duur. It's expensive, so I don't reckon it will happen. €300. Zach Brown is disliked here. Lol. Damn it, Red Boy. Yeah. Okay, so the next part of my live stream is his days at Williams. Adrian Newey went from Leighton House to Williams, which was led by Patrick Head and Frank Williams. The dynamic duo. Well, they weren't so dynamic. They were pretty much stuck in their own ways of thinking. And even the brilliant Adrian Newey couldn't change their way of thinking. But in any case, he was there in a team with lots and lots of money, great equipment. They had a proper factory, and everything was, perfect there. And they had great drivers, because that's something that was missing at Leighton House as well. So in 91, they came really close to winning the title, but reliability killed them. But then in 1992, Nigel Mansell, Il Leone, won the title for Williams and the constructors as well. It was in the days of the active suspension, which was something that Adrian Newey was brilliant at. And this is something that's going to be, in a way, on the 2026 cars as well. There's going to be active parts on there, and I think Adrian Newey will be brilliant at that. So even if the Honda engine for Aston Martin might not be the strongest engine, if it's reliable, then Adrian Newey can fix a lot with having a car that just sails across the tracks. So he was a master in active suspension, and it was also in the days of the blown diffusers, and apparently he did a trick where he had an undercut where the blown diffuser was getting the most out of it, and that made the cars quicker as well. Then years went by, and 1994, I think active suspension and stuff was banned, and the cars changed a lot. So 1994 was pretty much a terrible year for Adrian Newey, because Ayrton Senna died in one of the cars that he built, and it became this bad that he was actually accused of manslaughter for his involvement in that car. In the end, it worked out okay, but yeah, that strained the relationship that Adrian Newey had with Frank Williams and Patrick Head. And then on top of that, Adrian Newey was promised to become technical officer, which was blocked by somebody in the organization. And he was promised to have a say in what drivers were driving there. And then when he found out they were going to sack Hill, he put in his notice and went on gardening leave. And that was that. And he left Williams. And it shows again that even him being at a super team and they were winning prizes, and he was probably making a really good salary, and he had everything there, it wasn't enough to keep him because he didn't agree with how things went there. So he left and joined McLaren. Okay, let's go to the chat. Red Boy says you gotta explain how. And Red Boy says Monte Carlo, never forget. R.I.P. Yeah. Well, if nobody's talking in the chat, then I can go on to the next part of the Adrian Newey saga. No, there's nobody got anything to say. Wonder how many people we have in. There's 12 people watching. Not bad. Okay. When he joined McLaren, there was a new set of regulations. Now, this is where Adrian Newey excels, because he understands things before other engineers understand things. So, the new regulations gave them, with the car Adrian Newey built, the titles in 98 and 99. That was with Mika Hakkinen. But Ron Dennis, he was a very particular man with all kinds of strange rules. Like he wanted everything grey in the McLaren building. And then Adrian Newey, yeah, he gave his office a different color. And Ron Dennis nearly had a heart attack when he saw that. But he accepted it because he understood how important Adrian Newey was. And then the next thing that happened was that he built a car for Kimi Raikkonen, but that was in 2005, and that was pretty much the fastest car on the grid for most of that year. But the only problem was reliability. And reliability and Adrian Newey, that has always been, well, not a problem because the reliability issues were never his fault. But it's something that hampered him, even though he had this beautiful career. So at McLaren, yeah, just before they became really good, he fell out with Ron Dennis and Alan Whitmarsh. Again, things were promised and they didn't keep their promises. And, you know, Newey being a very principled man, he didn't accept it and he left. And that was that. Yeah, so let's go to the chat. Versatile says, me and Frank also go way back. During my journey in Oman and Saudi Arabia, I found a young curious mind in a garage and traded my old oil factory for a race car. I don't know what you're referring to here, Versa, so please tell us because nobody gets it. Red Boy says, time for the inspector. He's talking about Sebastian Vettel. And there's a new guy, Bravo Johnny. Accused in Italy, I imagine, and if you think about it, kind of fortune. Bravo Johnny, can you please explain what you mean that it was kind of fortunate that Adrian Newey got accused of manslaughter in Italy? Because I think that's what you're talking about. And Red Boy says, ooh, Hakkinen. And Jason Hassett, Racing Rants. If you're not subscribed to Hassing Racing Rants, please do so now. He also has about 12 million other channels, but Hassett Racing Rants is the best one. Red Boy says, go-to team, create a monster of a car under new regulations, controversy, gets kicked, repeat. Well, actually, Adrian Newey only got kicked once. And the rest of the time he just left out of his own accord. And Versatile says, Mika Hakkinen. I met him in a Finnish sauna and told him to never trust Ron Dennis and Honda ever again. And Versatile says, remember when Williams went bankrupt and Frank needed sponsors from Saudi Arabia to fund his team? Not exactly, no. And Vegas says, so as Adrian's influence on the 20 has waned, so has Max's fortune. Connections? Yes, of course. Max Verstappen, to show his brilliance, needs a pretty good car. And he's got a shitbox now. And the shitbox they have now is much harder to fix without Adrian Newey. That's it. And Versatile says, Jason's consistency is the same across 13 million channels. And there's Bravo Johnny. Well, Italy, the home of Ferrari, used to that sort of racing and less bureaucratic at that time. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Because Adrian Newey never worked in Italy. And Vega says, good answer, but I don't know what the question was anymore, so Um, Hassett says F1 is always 90% the car. True. And Max Verstappen has a 50% car now, so that's why he's only finishing fifth. Okay, I'm gonna go to Red Bull now. Red Bull, the all-known story. The drinks company was sponsoring teams along the way, like Sauber, and they wanted their own team, so they bought Jaguar. They assigned this lovely young man called Christian Horner. It was actually Helmut Marko who was the advisor who hired Christian Horner, and Christian Horner kept bumping into Adrian Newey, and they got talking, and he convinced Adrian Newey to come over to this fresh young team where the music was banging in the garage, where everything was loose and fun and exciting, and he started building proper race cars. In 2009, according to the experts, this season, the season 1 year before new regulation sets in, is a bit like Sebastian Vettel's 2009 season when he was fighting Braun. The team was young. They were still getting there, but they were making these small mistakes that a young team that is not used to fighting at the top was doing. And Jenson Button with Braun had a huge lead, but halfway through the season, their advantage was gone, and he had to hold on to this championship that he had in his hands, and finally he did it. There's a great documentary on Disney Plus about the whole Braun era, or that Braun year. It's narrated by Keanu Reeves from The Matrix. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. So Vettel 2009 season was a bit too soon for them, and then the 2010 season came, and they won. 2011, 2012, and 2013, 4 years in a row, they won a championship, which is a bit looking like it is now, with Max winning 21, 22, 23, and hopefully 24. But after the success with Vettel came the hybrid era, and Mercedes knocked that out of the park because they started building that hybrid engine in 2007, so they had a bit of a head start, and Red Bull was stuck with Renault engines. And despite all the promises Cyril Abiteboul made about, getting proper engines in, they kept getting these boxes filled with engine parts, and they had to put the engine together themselves, and they had to pay a mighty big fee for getting those engines. So at that point, Adrian Newey was thinking about quitting, and Christian Horner understood that, and he said something like, you can do other stuff like creating boats, and I think he even created a whole different department which Adrian Newey could lead, and that included building ships as well, and hypercars and stuff. So that kept Adrian Newey busy, so he wouldn't leave. And in the meantime, they were talking to Honda, and you know what happened when Honda came in, first with Toro Rosso, and then with Red Bull, and they started winning again until 2021 came, and they had a pretty dominant car, well, as dominant as Mercedes, and we had that thrilling year. And then Horner fucked it all up. Yep. And what we've seen throughout the history of Adrian Newey is that if something is bothering him, then he's not shy to say, I'm leaving, and that's what he did. And he's stepping into this new project with Aston Martin. I think the chat's been really active, so let me have a look at this. Mm-hmm. Red Boy says, I got into F1 because of the insane engineering. And Vegas is smiling. And Vegas says, smoking those flowers. I smoked loads of weed, but I never really liked it. Red Bull Prime, says Red Boy. And Bravo Johnny says, Senna's accident and the aftermath. You talked about it. Yes. So Senna was Adrian Newey was accused in Italy, but you said Italy is the home of Ferrari, and they're used to that sort of thing, racing, and is less bureaucratic. So I don't know how that's connecting. Red Boy says, back when Helmut ran things, Red Bull was a great team. Yes, I agree. And Jason Hassett says, Lawrence now is doing exactly what Dietrich did back then. And that's why it's so exciting. I couldn't agree more. Just to have that vision and then not be shy of spending $500 million to get there. I think that's amazing. His only weakness is his son. And I think at some point it'll be clear to him that Lance is not it. And then the real Aston Martin can start. Jason says, I just hope he adopts a son who's a decent driver. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. Red Boy says, Braun GP was a fluke that we can all get behind. Keanu goddamn Reeves voiced an audiobook about Braun GP. No, it's not an audiobook, it's a documentary on Disney Plus. It's also available on Pirate Bay. Oh, I didn't say that. And Versa says, actually, I have a genuine question for you, Wimbo. Did Adrian Newey work in Toro Rosso first in 2008 to prove himself? Hence why the 2008 car with Minardi DNA was faster than the Red Bull? I actually don't know. But Jason Hassett is here and he knows things. Bravo Johnny says, was Coulthard even mentioned? No, I didn't mention him in 2006, but he's a fun guy. 2013 was a bad car for F1. The worst F1 car was slower than the fastest F2 car. And Jason says, no, Versa, as far as I can recall, the Toro Rosso back then was the exact same design as the Red Bull. Yeah, they just had a different engine. Did they not have a Cosworth engine first and then a Ferrari engine? I think I've read that. Versa says, if Red Bull was a Mercedes customer with their aerodynamic efficiency, they probably could have beaten or challenged Merc between 2014 and 2018. I think so too, because there were tracks that weren't engine sensitive. It was just about the race car, and Red Bull beat them all the time there. And Jason says, back then they were still allowed to sell customer cars, sort of. So his design was allowed for both. But it was Ferrari powered when the Red Bull was Renault. Samantha says, sorry, every time you mention Cyril Abiteboul, I picture someone from up north England saying, oh, it's a bit of bull. Okay. Samantha, you're weird. Red Boy says, last year was peak. So many records broken. And Jason says, sorry, so I just checked. I think in 2008, Toro Rosso ran essentially Red Bull's 2007 car with a Ferrari engine. Disney Plus, can I do a Zach Brown? I don't know what that means. And Jason says it was one of the last straws that changed the regs to make sure teams can't share their cars that heavily. Okay, next topic. Aston Martin, guaranteed success. Now, I think I pointed that out earlier, but let me repeat it again. I think Aston Martin and their ambitions are wonderful. Um, over the years, we've heard about ambitions from teams like Alpine. They had a 5-year plan, and every 2 years it changes into whatever. Um, there's a plan with Audi, but I think that's going to take a lot longer than what they predicted. And I think there was a news story I read the other day where Audi indeed said, look, it's going to take longer than we expected. So it's probably because of the video I made a couple of weeks ago, saying that Aston Martin's problems don't bode well for a team like Audi. Because to become great in Formula One, there's so much that you need to do right. Yeah, it's not like you can do it like that. Otherwise, Ferrari would have won more, you know? Because they're always ambitious and they keep going and they've got the backing and they've got the passion. But every year, something is missing. Something that Red Bull has. But they've lost it now because Adrian Newey is going to Aston Martin. I keep watching on the Aston Martin YouTube channel how the buildings keep evolving. You know, how they're building everything. And I can understand that if you're doing things from two different buildings and you have to talk to each other via Zoom calls, that's not handy. But now, I think there's even a sort of an internal transport system where people from different departments can go to other different departments. So, yeah, I'd love to visit that factory at some point. I better be nice to Aston Martin. So, everybody at Aston Martin, one of my favorite drivers in the history of F1 is Lance Stroll. He's the best. I love him. Yeah, and if you just add everything together, all the teams that Adrian Newey has been, they've had success. Aston Martin with Dan Fallows, they had a pretty successful first half of 2023, and then it got a lot less. I think Adrian Newey is just that little step, that little ingredient to make them go up a step higher. Now, there's also people talking about the wind tunnel sliding scale. And there's people saying that Red Bull and Aston Martin are sandbagging and they don't mind losing positions in the standings, in the constructor standings, because it'll give them more wind tunnel time. And especially because in 2025, I think on the 1st of January in 2025, the teams are allowed to work on the 2026 car. So it's handy to have more wind tunnel time then. If Aston Martin is, throwing their season a bit, they're doing a really, really good job. And Red Bull, they're doing a good job as well by throwing it, except that Max didn't agree with it the first, say, 10 races. But then he had to give in as well. That's why they're putting on downgrades instead of upgrades. Okay, let's go back to the chat. Yes. Samantha says she's proud to be weird. Of course you can be proud of yourself, honey. Love you. Jason says, sounds like a Scottish man saying, sure, I'll be the bull. Okay. I mean, what you wish to happen to Zach Brown must happen Disney Plus. Still don't get it. Haha, that's even better, Jason. Red Boy says Audi is cooked. For a second there, I thought you said audio is cooked. I was like, what? What's wrong with my audio now? And Versa says follows couldn't Newey's aerodynamic, but now he gets Newey to shadow once again. The duo reunited. Well, I believe in 1 + 1 is 3. I've said that before in a video. So, if Dan Fallows has a brilliant idea, and Adrian Newey sees it and says, yeah, that might work, but you need to do this and that, then, yeah, I don't see why that shouldn't work. Whereas if Dan Fallows is on his own, and he has nobody around him to say, you need to go in that direction, you'll end up with a shit car. Okay. Vegas, garanteed. Highly favored, perhaps. Hamilton, Leclerc at Ferrari. Toto willing to buy a championship. Lance for the win. Well, me as a content creator, I like to exaggerate a little. Yes? So, no, there's no guarantee. And maybe Adrian Newey's getting old, and maybe these new regulations, they're so weird with all the moving parts and the engines that are weird, where you have to shift back to get the battery uploaded and all that shit. And maybe he doesn't succeed in those 5 years. But looking at his track record, which we've handled in this live stream, I think Aston Martin is going to win prizes. So in my head, it's guaranteed. Versa says, are the AMR investors pleased with Lance Stroll, or will he be jumping ship to WEC? I hope he's jumping ship to the World Endurance Championship. And Vega says Lance really should go to the World Endurance Championship. He's good, for real. He definitely has his qualities, you know. And Jason says the money is in the constructors, and the car company is killing it. So I think the investors don't care for now. If they wanted World Drivers Constructors, as long as one of the drivers can win it, it won't matter. Haha. And he says, think Red Bull with Verstappen winning it alone. Yeah, that's true. And Bravo Johnny says, Flavio's cars versus Newey cars. Woo! That'd be an interesting viewing. But is Flavio an engineer as well? I thought he was just a mafia boss that likes Formula 1 teams. And Vega says, isn't Max doing that now? Love Checo, but his performance is poor lately. I think that's what you're trying to say. And Samantha says, at least that's what I get from Red Boy's comment. Okay. Jason says, I think with Follows, we see it all the time. Mike Elliott is another great example. He should have been brilliant, but it didn't work out. I hope they keep Follows though. He's a big asset. Yeah, I also think he's a nice man. I've never heard anything negative about Dan Fallows. And I did read a couple of months ago that Stroll's patience was running out. And that's probably when he started pursuing Adrian Newey. But Aston Martin has a brilliant team together with Enrique Cardele, and then Dan Fallows, and God, who else is there? Ooh, the guy who did the engines for Powell. No, he did the engines for Mercedes in their glory days. Andy Cowell. Cowell. He's there as well. So that's four major brilliant minds working together. Yeah, no. Now I'm no. It's for sure. 2026, Aston Martin Constructors Championship. That much is true. Okay. Red Boy says, if Lance jumps ship, we get Bottas, the perfect wingman, in AMR. Nando would be cooking. Forget Crashgate, please. Crashgate? What's Crashgate? Never heard of it. And Versa says, Jason, you mean Big Hassett? Okay. And Vega says, spot on, Alonso Bottas. And Versa says, Wimbo, I saw the book in your background in a shop in Canada. Okay. The big one there. Cool. I also have this one. This one's more on topic. Next live stream, I'm just going to start at page 1. I'm just going to read out this whole book for you. Yeah. Prologue. Clouds were gathering that day. Rain was forecast. Feeling scrutinized. Oh, I don't want to get sued. Okay, where were we? Vegas says, we don't talk about Flavio's businesses. And Jason says, Andy Cowell. Yes, that's the name I couldn't think of. I'm always under pressure when I'm doing a live stream. So nervous. Red Boy says, you know what would be crazy? AMR becoming an engine supplier. Yeah, that would be crazy. And Jason says, Crashgate. I miss when the teams actually cheated. Yeah, I mean, nowadays teams get accused of cheating and they didn't do it. And at the time, people were cheating and they never got accused of it. Bravo Johnny. No one mentioned the Ken Tyrrell robbery in the same breath. That's something else I need to Google. What happened to Ken Tyrrell? I know he had a racing team, but I don't know a robbery. And Jason says, now it's just fans moaning over technical wrecks that they don't understand. Well, I do understand. I saw footage of 4 front wings, and the McLaren front wing went all the way down. So they're cheating. Yes? Samantha says, I'm hooked. Okay. And Versa says, the state of that book looks like you try to make a race car out of it. That's how I treat all my books. It's just something I do. I can't keep anything tidy. And there's Slowpat. Hello, Mr. Slowpat. How the hell are you? And Red Boy says, isn't that what the boom is for? I don't know what you mean by that. Jason says, AMR's V12s are stunning. And Samantha says, hi, Slowpat. And he says, I am late again. Well, you've got another 12 minutes. So. And Jason says, the new Vanquish is my new dream car. I thought you liked pickups, Jason. That video of you starting the pickup, that's something you need to throw on your Jason, on your Hassett Racing community page. It's so funny. Jason, a very young Jason, he's in Mexico. I don't think he was there for a long time. It says, guys, with his phone in his hand, he goes, guys, I'm going to show you how I start my car. It's really simple. And then he sits down and he has to pump the gas a load of times. And then he has to go to the ignition. And then he has to walk out of the car, open up the hood, then gets a screwdriver, pulls on a few things. Then the car starts running again. Then he goes back to the car. He says, "Oh, I have to make sure that it's on the handbrake, otherwise I'll run over myself." And then the car goes off again. And then I think for 5-6 minutes, it's really exciting because you don't know if he's gonna get there or not. So, Jason, are you gonna post it for me? Okay. Samantha says better late than never about Slow Path. And Jason says it's nice to see them building their own engines. And Slow Path says hi Sam. And Red Boy says I meant book, not boom. Yes, the book is how to build a car. And Versa says I know, right? I mean, the only team I know cheating is Red Bull. Just kidding, no pitchforks, please. And Bravo Johnny says, Turbo Arrow, 70s, 80s, happy sailing. And Jaden says, I missed that pickup. Sold it during COVID. And Samantha says, I still dream of having a soccer mom car. Too late now, though. And Jason says, a 1987 Chevy C10 4.8 liter straight six. It drank petrol so fast. Doesn't matter. Like petrol is cheap in Mexico, isn't it? And Versa says Forza Jason's pickup truck. Jason says starter motor was fucked, and so was the alternator. So I kept jumping it with a screwdriver. Mexicans are always laughing at this random Irish guy in the countryside jump starting a truck. Yeah. Okay, and Red Boy says, I need Williams to throw everything out of the window and win the championship right now. And Slowpad says, since it was okay to mention another creator the other day, and I am sorry if this was mentioned before, but Joe Sauer's take on Newey to Aston Martin Racing on Missed Apex this week was really interesting. I love other YouTubers, and Joe Saward, or Joe Saward, I don't know how to pronounce it. I read his tweets, and if I see an article that I'm interested in, then I'll read it as well. So most of what I have here is from that BBC article, and then an article from Mark Hughes from the race. Yeah, he emailed me along with 500,000 other people in the newsletter. Yeah, that gave me inspiration to do this live stream, and I think it's going well. I don't care what you say. And Jason says about 90 cents a liter for petrol here. Okay. And Versa says a lot of people consider Colin Chapman and Adrian Newey's careers as flocking now silly flourishes. Okay. I just think they were awesome. And Colin Chapman, he's living it up in Brazil, isn't he? That's what the legend says. So anyway, I think I've handled everything now that I wanted to discuss. So, yeah, you guys can just chat among yourself. And I'll have a drink of water. Guys, question. The beard. Yeah. Is it good? Is it a good look? Just be honest. Roast me. I think it's making me look more manly and sophisticated. But don't know if you agree. Versa says we haven't discussed the Ayrton Senna blame game scandal. No, I just wanted to keep it positive. And there's another new name, John EVL. How realistic is Stroll WDC win when he has Newey Honda car. I think it's 100% guarantee. Someone says one side is crooked. Yes. Well, I'm a little crooked myself, so. And Versa says, amazing look. You look like a mature journalist. I hope Samantha lets you keep it. Red Boy says, you cannot be manly after the you cannot be manly after the poncho. Right, guys. Have you all seen my vlog about the Zandvoort Grand Prix? I have to tell you something that's really bothered me. I'm a sensitive guy, right? And I don't take criticism very well. So on Twitter the other day, I saw a guy called Race Fan Rob, and he posted a vlog about when he was in Monza last weekend. So I watched it, and it was all right. You know, he kept putting in his own trailer bit instead of a transition, and he repeated himself a lot. And in the end, it was just 8 minutes of the crowd looking at Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. But anyway, the guy's a photographer or something. And I said, look, I watched your vlog, but I also made a vlog about Zandvoort. Maybe you want to take a look at it, see what you think of it. Now, I didn't ask him to roast my vlog. So he started watching it. And I can tell on my analytics how long a video has been watched. Yes. So he scrolled through it, maybe 2 minutes long. And then he started typing. And he said, your scenes are too long. It all looked too dark. I didn't like the narration. And yeah, I want to every shot to tickle me. And none of your shots tickled me. And yeah, if you want to get anywhere in the vlog business, then you need to do those things better. And he says, sorry for dropping in like that, but that's just how I feel. So I scrolled over his channel, and I noticed that he's getting between 200 and 400 views himself. 2 years ago, he had a couple of successful vlogs about the mini helmets that Max Verstappen sells. But the last while, he's not getting anywhere. And I was a little bit perplexed that out of the blue I got a roast like that. So I thought, I'm going to be sarcastic and say, oh, I don't mind you saying this. I love it when experts give me advice. And I started explaining why I made the thing the way I made it. I wanted to have the look and the feel of a holiday video. Kind of personal, but also to give people a look into that race weekend from our perspective. That's why you see us cycling to the train station one time, and that's why you see us sitting on a train, and that's why you see us walking to the circuit. And then as the weekend progresses, it's more about racing. And I think the 25 minutes were pretty entertaining, and definitely not worth the roast that guy gave me. Now, me being me, as sensitive as I am, I haven't been able to let that go. So I keep watching if I'm getting more views, and I've been recommending it to people, and I've posted it on my threads, and I posted it on my Twitter, and I posted it on my community page again to get as many views out of it as possible as a revenge. So, yeah, so anybody who hasn't seen my vlog, would you please watch it from start to finish and leave a like? And if you have friends that like Formula 1, send it to them as well. And if you honestly think the vlog was shit, then let me know, but be nice about it. Yes, I can take criticism, like, hey, Wim, that intro bit was a bit long, or Wim, the whole cycling bit, after 10 seconds, I knew what you were doing. That wasn't necessary. But not the way he did it, because he fucking destroyed my whole vlog, and it upset me. So anyway, let's go back to the chat. Red Boy says, you're a cute baby boy. And Bravo Johnny says, give us your opinion, versatile. Someone says, I love beards. Slowpat says, beard looks scratchy, but if Samantha loves them, happy wife, happy life. Okay, and that's between Bravo Johnny and Versatile. Samantha says, Slowpat, it's softer than it looks. I love all the guys with the big Viking-y beards. Versa says, you should consider streaming on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. You can do the IRL streams as well. And Red Boy says, I saw the premiere. I know that, Red Boy, that you're always there. Whenever I go live or when there's a premiere, you're there. And Slowpat is laughing. And Versa says, whoa, 200 views. Couldn't be you, Wimbo. Bravo Johnny, the Senna blame game. I'm intrigued. And Samantha says, Red Boy is the real OG. Versa says, not gonna lie, I thought you were going to mention me watching the vlog a day late. No, many people have watched it a day later. So, and Versa says, yeah, don't watch it for 2 minutes and roast Wimbo. And Slowpat says, is this vlog on YouTube? Yes, it's not my previous video, but the one before. It says yeah, on the thumbnail it says Zandvoort vlog. So, and John EVL says, okay, so who would Stroll need as a teammate if he wants to win the Drivers' Championship? Well, Stroll needs to go to endurance racing. Lando, I was going to say Lando Norris. No, Fernando Alonso. He needs to say, and Max Verstappen should join them, and then the two of them can fight for the title. That would be heaven. Red Boy says Stroll needs Jesus. And Slowpat says, okay, sorry, don't know why I missed it. We'll watch. Thank you, Slowpat. I loved it. I loved making it, even though it took me a week. So I put a lot of passion in it, and then to see it. But you know what I think? I looked at that Rob guy who his friends were on Twitter, and then there's this group of 5-6 Dutch guys, and they don't like me because they think they know everything better, and they think I'm annoying, and I am pretty annoying. So, I think it had more to do with that. It was more like a revenge thing. But anyway, it's 9 o'clock, past 9 o'clock, and I think I'm gonna say goodbye to you all. Everybody, thank you for watching. I'm editing a video at the minute about Will Buxton. How he wants Max Verstappen to lose. It will probably be out Sunday night or Monday. And hopefully next week, during the Baku weekend, I'll be back streaming live at this hour. So Slowpat, make sure it's 8 o'clock Dutch time, 8 o'clock CET, that my streams start. Okay? Right. Everybody, take care now.